Well, all right, all right, all right. Happy spring to you guys. I am so excited. I don't know about you. We're definitely experiencing a wetter spring, a colder spring here in San Diego, and I know all over everyone's having different weather. So if you want to type in where you're tuning in from and what kind of weather you have today, it's always fun to kind of compare notes where we are in different parts of the world. But it is spring in the Northern Hemisphere, at least. We just experienced a transition in seasons. I don't know if you guys have noticed, at least in my awareness, there's been a lot of people with COVID again. There's a lot of sickness. I had a cancellation again today for someone who wasn't feeling well, having some kind of bad cold. And a lot of times these seasonal changes can bring about toxins. They can bring around shifts in our chi. They can bring around all sorts of shifts from the winter hibernation that we just came out of. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to share my slides in a little bit, share a little bit about me, and we're going to go for about a whole hour. And I want to make sure, again, remind you if you're just joining us to take notes. We will have time for Q&A, probably along the way or at the end at the very least. So make sure you're distraction free and are able to take notes because there may be a question that you want answered towards the end. So today we're talking about, again, spring cleaning for your mind and body, and also actually your spirit. You're going to understand this more by the time that we are done. My goal today is to share the truth about what it takes to achieve permanent weight loss. And I do believe that's possible. And I'm not talking about any surgeries. I'm not talking about anything. I'm going to tell you more about what I mean by that, what my belief system is about that. Show you how food is truly our medicine and how to get to the root cause and nourish your weight challenges, issues, mind, body, and spirit. So I'll share more where this comes from in a few moments. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I've been in the health and fitness industry for a long time as well. I grew up on a farm in Iowa. So I'll understand a lot about seasonal changes for sure. I'm also a 12-week year certified trainer. I share that because that's also just a part of my passion is how to accomplish more results in less time, which kind of applies to what we're talking about today. And then my beautiful husband and I wearing our favorite Halloween costumes of all time up there in the top left hand corner. I'm also the founder of the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise podcast. And I'm also, as I like to call it, the founder of the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise movement. So some of you maybe knew me in the past as a sales coach, or I've been a sales, I guess we'll say expert and sold in a lot of different verticals, but my true heart's passion. And I was reminded of this through my podcast. Actually, I'm 30,000, almost 31,000 downloads in, 266 episodes in. I've interviewed a lot of experts on health and wealth and wisdom. And through that process, I had my own spiritual awakening and really building awareness as to what's happening in the planet right now and what I believe is calling us all to focus on living our best life. How many of you guys would agree that you want to live your best life? Type in the chat if you're with me, that as you draw breath and you're here still above ground, that you would want to live your best life. Go ahead and type in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear, because this is what I am all about. Just so you know, my passion and my purpose is that. My background, again, I've been part-time or full-time. I had a personal training studio. I was part of a boot camp franchise called Look Good Naked. Doesn't that sound like a good title? That was the name. Well, at least when I was part of as a franchisee, I did kitchen cleanouts, grocery store tours. I worked for a couple big backs gyms. I also coached thousands of marathoners, couch to 5K, as well as first-time triathletes, all the way up to Ironman triathletes. So I've been around a little while and have worked with 10,000 plus. I've lost count. That's why the plus is there. And a lot of it was around daily habits and choices. A lot of it was also around weight loss. And of course, then if you've been following me the last 3 years, I had my own weight loss struggles. And what I discovered is weight loss and cleansing is a total transformation commitment. It's not just physical. And I'm going to break that down a little bit for you. It's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual and physical and social. A lot of times it's so much more fun. You see the success of certain programs like Weight Watchers and gym programs, when I did boot camps, I actually saw people in my boot camp setting have a lot better results than even the one-on-one, because there was also a social element in that. And so from all of what I've learned, both personal and then that professional 17 years, I'm going to be sharing with you, what are the secrets to success? And I'm actually going to stop sharing my slides so that I can, so you can look at me a little bit better and just have a conversation with you. And this may have already crossed your email from me, but I just want to talk about the 3 biggest myths around weight loss. Why are there so many people that do the New Year's resolution thing, but then by February, they kind of like throw in the towel? Why is it that there are so many people that do cleanses and things and keto diets and Atkins and mono food diets and intermittent fasting and all of these kinds of things, but then they tend to go up and down? I was just talking to a weight loss group yesterday and how they were all always going up the same 3 pounds and down 4 pounds, and up 3 pounds and then down 4 pounds. And a lot of people can really get obsessed with their weight. And a lot of times they think cleansing products, foods, supplements is permanent. Well, based on my 17 years and working with over 10,000 people, I'm here to tell you that these products, foods, and supplements by themselves are not enough. So that is my experience. And I do believe, after working with a lot of people, that it's got to be more. It's got to be more. And so if you've already read my article, I talked about this much more in depth, so I'm not going to repeat everything. But why do you think that the cleanses and products and things like that aren't enough? Type in the chat. I'd like to have a little interaction, so I'm not just like a talking head the whole time. Why do you guys think, and your cheat sheet would be my article that I wrote, but why do you guys think that cleansing products, food is not enough when it comes to weight loss? It feels discouraging. Okay. Tell me a little bit more if you want. There might be an emotional component. Yeah. Both of you typed emotional component at the same time. Yes. So what I've seen, and also just so you guys know, some of you have been a part of my addictive behavior challenge. So I have seen firsthand, again, it just reiterated, and that's actually what inspired, thanks to those who've been in part of the addictive behavior challenge. You guys just confirmed everything that I had already collected, thousands and thousands of data. But once the cleanse is over, the detox or the diet, insert whatever diet here, those old patterns and behaviors that are unconscious, they're still there. Wherever you go, there you are. So then the second myth that I talked about, weight loss is only physical. Therefore, all you need to do is count calories or work out, right? Doesn't that make sense? All you got to do is count calories and work out, and poof, you'll never have to worry about it again. I'm an example of nope. I actually, I didn't have weight, quote unquote, issues. I was actually an anorexic runner in my early 20s. I lost my period. It was more of the extreme. I beat the crap out of my body and would actually kind of starve myself. There's a lot of control and perfection in that, but it didn't stop me from gaining a bunch of weight. I was, I tipped the scale at 190 3 years ago. And I even tried dieting. I was desperate and I knew better, right? But that weight gain was so much deeper than just eating more calories and stopping working out. There was emotional, deeply rooted wounds and traumas that impacted me emotionally, unconsciously. And so if you guys have studied Joe Dispenza and a lot of these different guys, they're the unconscious, also known as the subconscious. That's where the emotional pain body comes from. So your thoughts and feelings, working with your ego, we oftentimes get on that default mode network. Some of you've heard me talk about that in the brain. That's a system. in your brain that is just like when you think about the highways that are built in your city, your brain has those same highways. And it just like when you're driving home, unfortunately, I probably know this a little bit too well. If you're also drinking alcohol, you drive home or you get home and you don't remember how you got there. That's how your brain works with trauma, with emotions, and literally you just do, you don't think, right? And that can even lead to binge and restrict patterns. And then there's also what neurotransmitters inside of you and hormones and organs. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, that once they're stressed or emotions are suppressed, that is like a wasteland. That's a recipe for disaster. And that's what I saw for myself. And then I've seen for a lot of my clients, especially those who struggle with binge drinking or emotional eating, turning to food out of comfort. Then the last myth that I want to talk about is that if you do a cleanse every quarter or a detox or even a new diet, that is going to make a bigger difference if you only did it as opposed to like once a year or having New Year's resolutions, and you can just do it on your own. It's all easy. No problem. And I'm here to tell you, even myself, having been an Ironman triathlete, a marathon runner, a coach to 10,000 plus people, the coach needed a coach these past 2 years to help me not only shed my 30 pounds, also keep it off. And there was no cleanse, and I didn't do it alone. So just a reminder, and I what I mean by cleanse also, I just want to qualify this, like a food cleanse or a detox, the things that I actually used to sell and do way back in the day, where you have supplements, you might have powders, you might have a book or a meal plan that goes with it. I just wanted to clarify, because of course I am going to talk about my mental, physical, spiritual cleanse today. So oftentimes I have seen people, this kind of goes with myth number 2. I have seen people, they'll do a cleanse every quarter, but then they'll be so out of balance. It can be exhausting and taxing on your organs, especially if you think about it. If 1 month you're doing one diet and then the next month you do another diet, if you haven't actually applied the mental wisdom, the emotional wisdom with the physical wisdom, and oftentimes that slide I did show you about the social, we are social creatures. It's so much more fun to do these things together. So that's really, really important. So those are the 3 myths. I just wanted to touch on them since I wrote about them and maybe you did or did not see them. But now I wanted to talk about that second element, food being our medicine. Now there's a couple of things where, we'll talk about root causes. That's my third thing that I want to talk about today. But when we go through seasonal change, our liver, our kidneys, our chi, a lot of different things inside of our bodies are impacted. There's different seasons that are hot as opposed to different seasons that are cold. Why is it that so many people, when there's seasonal changes, specifically fall to winter, that's like when they consider flu season, right? Is when fall and winter, are that time, because you're heading into colder weather. Well, I have a Chinese medicine teacher, educator, college professor. I did a video recording with her, and I thought it was really profound. Some of the things she shared, talking about why does this happen? How do these seasonal changes affect our organs? How does it also affect what kind of foods can help us with healing, detoxification, cleaning out our bowels? Yes, I do like to talk about poop. So if you don't get rid of your poop, if you don't cleanse your liver, and I'm not talking about like a liver cleanse, I'm actually just talking about using food, whole foods to cleanse your liver, the body keeps the score. You're going to hear me talk about that later. It actually physically holds and retains water. I know I'm not going to say who, but there's someone here doing a heavy metals detox right now. So what I'm about to share with you is really, really supportive of that. So if you've ever also looked into Chinese herbs, I'm also talking about that. Superfoods is part of the medicinal cleanse that I want to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about spring cleaning, cleansing nutrition with whole foods. So make sure you really take notes during this part with Dr. Lauren Hayden. She's here in San Diego. So if there's anyone lucky enough to be in San Diego, I highly recommend. If you like acupuncture and body work and energy healing, she's brilliant. She also does a lot with Chinese herbs. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this video because it was too good not to share. And for those of you inside of my subscription, this video will be inside of that, inside the member vault. So you can go back to it over and over again. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play the video and make sure you tell me if you can't hear it. Okay. Just let me know if you can't hear it. Well, all right. Happy spring, guys. Spring has sprung here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I'm super excited to be sharing this interview talking about nutrition that can nourish you from a Chinese medicine point of view. And, as part of my 5 fundamentals in the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise subscription and community is nutrition's important. And there's so many elements of nutrition that can be misleading, like dieting, fads and trends. And in a world of fast food and dopamine hits and sugar and convenience stores and all of that, I think we're all being called back to the earth, back to nourishing ourselves, as food is truly our medicine, even though, big pharma and all of these types of diet and meal plans and all these things are out there to, I think, kind of distract us sometimes. And even I have forgotten the importance of nourishment and nourishing appropriately for the seasons, not only of life, but the seasons that we have: winter, spring, summer, and fall. So this is my first time ever interviewing Dr. Lauren Hayden. She's my acupuncturist, my favorite here in San Diego. She also does body work. She's also a yogi. She's a mom. We met years ago in BNI. We talked mushroom coffee for a while and we became really good friends, and I just love her to pieces. So I'm so grateful to have you here, Dr. Lauren. I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got to be an acupuncturist and where you are today.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here as well. Yes, so I practice acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I have a background in biochemistry and sports medicine, so I've really focused more on orthopedics in my practice, but now it's starting to evolve. I have some autoimmune cases, more geriatrics type patients getting into pain management and whole body health, preventative medicine really, and working with herbs. And I teach at the Pacific College of Health and Science, a couple of classes there in the graduate program for acupuncture, along with seeing patients in the clinic down in the Bankers Hill area in San Diego. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
It's amazing. And I just got to give her a testimonial, guys. We're not really talking acupuncture today, but acupuncture has been part of my preventative wellness plan. And it's also something that I discovered in 2011 when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So when she talked about autoimmune, maybe we'll get into more of how season changes and all of that can impact our overall health. And a lot of people are diagnosed with things, but for me, I knew right away when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's and I started acupuncture, oh my gosh, it was like part of my every month wellness plan, my self-care. And I actually took some months off this winter and I noticed the difference. I noticed more anger. I noticed more emotion, more like stuck chi and energy. So we'll talk nutrition first, and then maybe kind of bring in a little bit of acupuncture if we don't run out of time. If that sounds good to you, Dr. Lauren.
Sounds great.
So I know we are in spring, and I learned from you. During our sessions, you would say, "Well, the season has shifted, so now focus more on these foods," or the season has shifted and now this organ or organs is impacted. So what the heck is spring all about? What is it associated with, and what should we be looking out for?
So spring is actually associated with the element of wood in Chinese medicine. And this is all about growth and movement. You know how we want to get out and exercise during the spring. There starts to be a little bit more sunshine, but also the rain and cooler weather makes us want to stretch and move our bodies. And the organ associated with spring is the liver. So we want to focus more on moving the liver qi and cleansing the liver. And the liver opens up into the eyes. So our eye health can be focused on a little bit more this time of year. Sometimes people might be getting a little bit of allergies and irritation in the eyes. So just helping to moisten the eyes and bring the circulation through the liver will help balance out this season.
That's really profound, because I know growing up on the farm, we plant new seeds in the spring. There's a lot of, it's actually an astrological new year. I just interviewed someone about that. So it's like kind of like a do-over. We're coming out of hibernation. I'm wondering if you have any other thoughts about what kind of foods are really, really best utilized in spring to help from that transition out of winter to spring.
Yes, so green vegetables are very important this time of year, especially leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard. They help to move that liver qi and to help our digestion move smoothly and clear out our bowels. Then you can also make sure that you're eating things that are warm, because that can help the spleen and the stomach to digest your food. Since there's still some cold and damp type weather in this season, it's important to focus on warm foods like soups, and you can add scallions and ginger, those type of spices to the soup with the vegetables. Other vegetables that are good this time of year are yams and onions and leeks. Those types of foods are also important for the liver function.
Yeah, it's interesting because you just made me think of something, because I was in the health and fitness industry for a long time. I'm actually looking to lead a small group through like a spring cleanse in April. And a lot of people will think about spring cleaning their house. A lot of people will tend to do cleanses in the spring, and I've heard liver cleanses are very popular. Since you brought up liver, what are your thoughts about those types of cleanses, and or why is the liver so important this time of year, if there's any deeper meaning behind it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what the focus is on is sort of clearing out the heavy metals. That's one way that we can talk about cleansing the liver. But with these dark leafy greens, that's really going to activate the enzymes of the liver, and they can add the antioxidants in these greens that can also just really, really clear out some of the, every time we intake herbs or medicine, that has to be go through the liver, and then the liver can eliminate them properly and through the bowel system. So it's really important to keep everything flowing.
And I remember the first time I ever went to an acupuncturist, he talked about stagnant liver qi, and this was back before I was even diagnosed with my autoimmune disease. So I know liver is like associated with anger, but it's also associated with joy, right? So maybe if you can explain more of the importance of having a healthy liver, and keep in mind, if people are taking lots of medications, right, or if they're eating unhealthy, or they're drinking lots of alcohol, like I've done, it can make that stagnant liver. I think I had decades of sugar addiction too. A lot of my clients are working through addictive behaviors. So maybe talk, if it's okay, it might be a little redundant, and I think repetition is helpful, but why else is the liver so important at this time?
Yeah, so sometimes when the liver gets congested, that can lead to heat. And so I think that's part of what you're talking about. And that can manifest in the emotions being stagnant. So increased irritability, frustration, those type of emotions. And then that heat can go up, and that can give us headaches or like redness in the eyes. And so I think that might be what you're talking about with the joy. But the joy is more for the heart organ, and that heat also affects the heart organ. So anytime heat is rushing up, that will affect the heart. So balancing out with these cooler types of herbs that can flush out the liver are important.
Awesome, yeah, and I know you, and I'm not going to talk too much about herbs, guys, because I really think if you have questions about that kind of stuff or acupuncture, please, I'll include Dr. Lauren's contact information, and you can always reach out to me to get that, because I know herbs are important. Can you say anything more about herbs that are really good for springtime?
Yeah, so there are several herbs. Mustard seed is important for the liver, as well as milk thistle. So that's one of the ones that can help to increase the enzyme activity and clear out the liver.
That's beautiful, and I love that they're medicinal. Like you could go to Whole Foods, right, and get any of that kind of stuff. I have a fun question for you, because I know this was me. Like when I grew up, I didn't like my vegetables, right? And I have clients and family members who they reach for bread, comfort food, any time of year, but especially it seems like winter and spring. So what are your advice for people who are like, oh man, I don't like leafy greens. I don't do spinach. What is Swiss chard? I don't even know what that is, right? Full disclosure, I didn't know what that was about 10 years ago. So what do people like that do this time of year to help with their liver chi?
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, you can pick healthy types of carbs like squash and yams and things like that, that will, instead of going for the bread, you could make a congee like it from rice that is basically like 6 cups of water to 1 cup of rice, and then you cook that down, and then you can add herbs like ginger to that to enhance the congee. So those are good ways to get healthy carbohydrates, and along with the greens, I think they can be incorporated nicely into soups or like a light saute. Yeah, so that would be my advice, is just to experiment a little bit and see what your eyes are drawn to, like in the store. Like I know that I'm wanting my Swiss chard, then I probably need more of that for my system.
Oh, wow. You just made me think of something really important. It's a lot of times going to the store, and keep in mind, at the time of this recording, we're finishing up an addictive behaviors challenge. So unfortunately, if you're consuming a lot of sugar or alcohol like I was, or more of those, we'll just call them quote unquote bad carbs. Unfortunately, when you go to the store, especially if you go when you're hungry, right, you're probably going to reach for the stuff that is more coming from that place of, the addictive behavior. So going to the store, guys, when you're not hungry would be a good tip. But do you have any other tips around how do they, I don't know if craving is the right word, how can they help shift the desire, say that, to being more spontaneous or experimenting? Any advice you have on that for the healthy options that you're mentioning?
Sometimes just tuning inward and taking a few deep breaths and just being open to seeing different colors. Balancing the plate with all of the colors of the rainbow is something that Chinese medicine teaches. We want something a little bit from each element to represent. So just keeping that in mind, and sometimes just drinking some water, a little bit of water before you take your meal can prevent some of those cravings.
I love that. And also what you talked about with colors, I lit up on that, because I find like right now I am craving, you said ginger soup or like butternut squash soup, and going into the grocery store and seeing those oranges and yellows, and that I've noticed that draws me in. So yeah, trusting your intuition, guys, and going in with that mindfulness even into the grocery store. Or if you're planning meal prep on Sunday nights, I've even started using HelloFresh. So if anybody ever wants to try that, I could get you a free box, just having those options too. Sometimes life is so full, and so busy, it does take intentionality to really, really work on even finding these foods for yourself. When you talked about dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, I'd love your thoughts on this, or if there's better seasons for this, because I know I struggled with vegetables up until in my 30s. I had leaky gut syndrome. I had a lot of digestive issues the first 30 years of my life because I was using sugar to cope with trauma. And so when I finally got healthier and made that intentional effort, I couldn't eat kale or spinach by itself. I threw it in a smoothie with some superfoods, maybe some protein. What are your thoughts about doing that to get these kinds of foods in right now?
Oh, absolutely. And any way that you can get it in is great too. Sometimes people put spinach in their baked goods. So you could make a banana bread with spinach, or right, or like a zucchini bread. Those are ways that you can get in the vegetables. But yeah, a smoothie with some superfoods is a great approach. Just want to remember to keep some warm herbs like ginger in there during the season, so it's not too cold for the spleen to digest.
Awesome. See, this is so important. Like so many people, Dr. Lauren, they'll just do a cleanse or a fast or a deprivation diet, like I call them, just to, quote unquote, lose weight or cleanse, or it could be for spiritual purposes too. And I get that. But what do you see as being a challenge with fads, trends, and diets when it comes to these seasonal shifts?
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there about diet, and these ketogenic diets, sometimes that can be a lot on the system. And I think it's best if that's monitored by someone, a professional. Just make sure that, if you're trying to experiment on your own, that's, just be careful. And I think seek professional advice and guidance through any type of change that you want to make.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be vulnerable here. This is my last question, and then I'll open it up for whatever else you want to share, because you talked about the liver and you talked about the bowels. If anybody's known me, I love talking about poop. I have no shame when it comes to that. And last year, as part of my transformation and deep dive healing, along with, I believe, ascension symptoms, people who follow me have heard me, and I've started coaching on ascension symptoms and how, you might think you're losing your mind. You might think you're dying or going crazy. I had 30 days of diarrhea. And I remember I went to see Dr. Lauren, and you were working with my kidneys, I think, at that time. And it was February. It was still winter, so it wasn't spring. But when you talk about liver and these foods, and you talk about clearing out your bowels, why is that so important?
Yeah, we really want to assimilate our food properly. And so sometimes the spleen and stomach are churning and digesting and transforming our food and trying to get the clear essence out of our food. And that mechanism can be blocked. And moving the liver can help to shift that mechanism and circulate the digestion through the middle, and then it can work down through the intestines. And I think separating the clear and the essence from the food is really important. So having those clean foods is very important.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, I'm so grateful. I got a lot out of your shares today. Is there anything else that you haven't shared, whether it's about nutrition, spring, or even acupuncture, that you'd like to close out with?
I think I think just stay mindful and open and move your body regularly. It's super important. And enjoy the weather and nature. Get back into nature, and that can really be healing.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Nutrition, nourishment, and nature, guys. That's a great way to close. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'll provide Dr. Lauren's contact info. So if you have any questions further, want to talk herbs, talk Chinese medicine, acupuncture, or I highly recommend, if you're in the San Diego, or if you're flying in to do a healing ceremony with me and my husband, you want to go and see Dr. Lauren, and I'm super grateful again for your time,
Thank you, Lois.
your
Thank you,
commitment.
everyone.
All right. Bye-bye for now. All right, all right, all right. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts about that before we go on to kind of the final segment here? I'm open to Q&A. If you want to put questions in the Q&A feature. If not, well, I'll just keep going because I want to honor your time too. And if we can get done a little bit earlier. So what I got out of that and my own personal experience, and when I talk about the cleanse, you know, that mind, body, spirit cleanse, there's the whole facets of what she talked about is so much even deeper. When you go into a different season, how are you getting these foods into your body to help cleanse the liver? And so you don't have to go out and buy a liver cleanse unless of course you want to, but you can actually do this naturally. And I was actually just found this today on Instagram talking about the liver, talking about the emotion of anger. And I know that was part of what I healed during my shedding of my 30 pounds over the past 2 years. And I don't know if healed's the right word. It was more of a reframe, changing my relationship with anger. Because for so long, guys, I suppressed anger because I thought I was a bad girl if I let it out. And a quote from a trauma educator based out of London: we can't heal trauma unless we learn to metabolize the emotion, anger. So as part of my 4-week mind, body, spirit cleanse, we're going to be working through some of these emotions that can come up through the liver, that if they are suppressed, that's why I had stagnant liver qi for a really, really long time, and how it negatively impacted me. And actually it was a part of the root cause of my cravings. Now that we're heading more into kind of like part 3, we were just talking about how foods, whole foods, are your medicine, and herbs, superfoods, minerals, vitamins, of course, how you get those to nourish yourself is really, really important. Even getting out in nature is what she talked about. And again, that's going to be part of my accountability in the 4-week challenge, just to remind us of how important it is to go ground yourself into some sand, some dirt, even if you still have snow in Minneapolis, wherever you are, being able to really connect with the earth. So the other thing that I was reading another quote, how important it is to also sit with our emotions, since we're heading into the final stretch here, kind of talking about trauma, talking about getting to the root cause, talking about the holistic approach of weight loss and cleansing. It's important to sit with it, meaning emotions, instead of drinking it away, which I did, smoking it away, sleeping it away. I've seen that as a big numbing behavior, is sleeping, believe it or not. Eating it away, right? Running from it. It's important to sit with. Healing happens by feeling. You can't heal the anger until you feel it. You can't heal the sadness, the grief, which is what also caused me to reach for alcohol and other numbing addictive behaviors that, again, was suppressing my ability to fully cleanse my mind, my body, and my spirit. Now I see a couple questions. Are you going to talk about weight loss? Andrea, yeah, this whole thing is about weight loss. So each section, and it's really cool that you answered that, because if you don't heal mind, body, spirit in summary, you won't have permanent weight loss. If you don't heal mind, body, and spirit, this last part that I was just talking about, you won't have permanent weight loss. That's why people yo-yo. That's why people just maybe stay stuck. I was stuck actually at 180, 190 for 2 years. And until I healed mind, body, and spirit, the weight didn't come off, other than the kind of the dieting yo-yo thing. But then to keep it off, to stay off, I had to keep healing and cleansing the mind and the body and the spirit. That's why this is not just another, superfood cleanse program that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the holistic approach. So it might be a lot to take in. And so I'm gonna summarize the program, and that may explain it even deeper. Are there fruits that are too sugary to consume, Vanessa? That's a great question. I'm a big fan of all colors of the rainbow, number one. When I was working with people in kitchen cleanouts and then grocery store tours, there's also, you got to be careful of like the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. I don't have those memorized, so just Google Dirty Dozen, Clean 15. You also want to be mindful of the organic versus, GMO and all of that kind of stuff. That's also just as important as the sugar content. But I'm a big fan of sticking more with like berries, so strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and just be mindful of everything else, like how much protein are you getting in, how much other sources of sugar are you getting in, and you probably really only need a couple of fruits a day, and that's a beautiful thing to put on your spinach salad. Now that she was talking about that transitional time to get a lot of leafy greens in, I think even berries go delicious with yams if you mix those up. Bananas, of course, I consumed a lot of those as a kid because it had so much sugar. So I see the only time you maybe have banana, like is what she was talking about, if you're making banana spinach bread, and if you're also putting in a protein with it to balance out the sugars and just limit the amounts. But again, I'm going to reiterate, no matter how clean your diet is, guys, if you don't cleanse mind, body, and spirit and get to those root causes, the weight may not come off. It may not come off. So that's really what I'm talking about here. I know it's a bit of a paradigm shift. And that's what I want to get on to step 3. So just bear with me here. I'm going to go ahead and pull back my slides up, because this is the big one. This is the big one. When I talked about what I wanted to cover today, talking about step number 3, sorry, I'm just following and making I get back to my notes. Getting to the root cause. Why did you gain the weight in the first place? Again, it wasn't the food's fault. It wasn't the alcohol's fault. Alcohol and food are neutral. Alcohol and food are neutral. So there was a decision, an unconscious decision inside of you that had you decide to reach for the food or the drink. And this is actually part of the next slides that I'm going to be bringing on here. So just bear with me a second. I was wanting to stay looking at you. So go with me on this. This is deeply profound, and this is why most weight loss programs don't work. Okay. So what causes cravings? Well, a lot of people don't always understand that there's that dopamine hit that sugar gives you, and a lot of foods, alcohol, comfort foods, especially high starchy foods that convert into sugar. And then, of course, like I said, I ate like a pound of bananas in one setting when I was a kid and I got really sick after that. But you eat sugar and your body likes it because it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Your blood sugars spike. The dopamine is released in the brain and the insulin is secreted to decrease the sugar levels to try to keep you balanced so you don't freak out. Those high insulin levels cause fat storage, and your body then craves the lost sugar high. So you lose the sugar high because you then have low blood sugar. Your body's trying to co-regulate. But here's the deal. Again, remember, it's actually not the sugar's fault. It was your thoughts and feelings and actions that cause you to consume the food. And so what we want to consider is how do you change that by getting to the root cause? That's what I want to really, really hit home with you guys today, and what this cleanse is all about. The other thing you got to keep in mind, guys, is if you heard my podcast about this, the age of Aquarius is ascending upon us. We are ascending into a new age, and some people don't like that phrase, so you could call it whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of symptoms that are also driving us that we don't understand. There's a lot astrologically happening as we head into a new zodiac age, and you may feel like you're going crazy. So if you don't know how to support yourself, You could reach for food. You could lean heavily on your addictive behaviors, the knee-jerk reactions, which are actually coming from the trauma responses. So making the unconscious behaviors conscious has never been more imperative for permanent weight loss. And I don't really care so much about weight loss, guys, honestly, as I do health and vitality. Health and vitality. So go with me on this, stay with me on this. We'll have questions at the end. Remember, I've recommended this book to many, and if you haven't read it, I still can't recommend it enough. The Body Keeps the Score. So earlier I talked about that. If your liver is holding on to anger and you're suppressing your anger, you're not allowing it to release and be seen and be felt. And so therefore you can't metabolize it. We can metabolize our emotions. We can shift our emotions. We can have anger, and then once we feel it, experience, and then we can feel joy. There's actually science that proves that you can actually feel positive emotions without first feeling the negative, the yin and the yang. And so that's why I had Dr. Lauren speak as well, because if you have a stagnant liver, and you have suppressed emotions, kidneys, spleen, she was talking about, then you will still be reaching for the sugar. You will still be reaching for the food, even if you try dieting and you do all of these other things. So I hope this is landing. The other thing is the root cause is trauma, and most of our weight challenges can come back to these trauma responses. So again, you can't heal what you can't feel. And the awareness is the first step. So being able to understand your anger outbursts, or if you're a workaholic, or maybe you overthink, or maybe you feel anxiety all the time, or even some of the time, maybe you have a hard time sitting still or difficulty making decisions. Type in the chat if you see yourself on any one of these for flight, fight, freeze, or fawn. Type in the chat if any of these. There's fawn is people pleaser, lack of identities, no boundaries. That was my biggest weight gain right there. My biggest weight gain was people pleaser, lack of identities, because part of my people pleasing, I suppressed anger because I just wanted to be liked. I just wanted to go with the flow. I didn't want to make waves, and that came from the good girl perfectionist syndrome, and that's all part of that. So again, for some of you, this is probably maybe it's not even what you want to hear. Because when I talk about weight loss, I'm actually really talking about getting to the root cause of it. No more dieting, no more abstinence, no more white knuckling it through a sugar detox. Okay, stop the madness. That's my strong, very educated and personal experience belief right there. So what am I creating? Together, everyone achieves more. Together, we're going to go on a journey, a deep cleaning cleanse, and get to the root cause: mind, body, and spirit. The kickoff will be April 10th. If you want to write that down, prep week is next week, April 3rd. And I'll explain what that means, but you can also ask questions for clarity. How would you like to get to the root causes and start cleansing and clearing your mind, your spirit, your emotions, and then the body will follow? Those are the people that I want to work with. If this resonates with you, then you're someone that I want to work with this so that you can stop the madness and never have to diet again. That's my hope. So what's all included in this program? Well, first, we're going to take the mind, body, spirit approach. And I do want to acknowledge, I know that this isn't for everyone, because it is a very brave and courageous and often overlooked opportunity, I like to call it. Because again, if you're unconscious on autopilot, your results in life are because of what's going on in your unconscious. 95%. That's why everybody loves Joe Dispenza, and what he talks about is because you can heal your life, you can heal yourself, but it's got to be mental, physical, and spiritual. It's got to be all three minds, which includes the emotional pain body, the trauma, the body keeps the score stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a weekly accountability meeting for those that sign up. That'll start April 10th. and we'll make sure it's a time of day that works for everybody. We will have a weekly meditation class for your mind. There's physical. I'm also going to encourage you to, if breath work and yoga maybe isn't as much for you, are you going to have an exercise component? I'm not going to coach you on that. I'm going to hold you accountable. Okay. Just like Dr. Lauren was talking about. The spiritual component will have a class or other guest experts. We're going to have an amazing guest teacher on healing the inner child, reclaiming lost fragments of your inner child due to childhood trauma. Of course, I'll be doing an ancestral wounds class with my husband. And I also am going to do some chakra clearing with you guys. There's going to be just all sorts of goodies for you for the spiritual stuff to really hold you, because I know it can be intense to have this kind of stuff come up. And that's why you can't do it alone if you're really serious about permanent weight loss, healing, health, and vitality. So again, you can open up for questions. For those of you who aren't already inside of my subscription, which I don't think anybody here on the live is, you'll get access to my member vault. So that's included in the price. So it's actually cool if you haven't signed up for that yet, because that's included inside of this as well. So you have 24/7 access, guys, 24/7 access to all of the things that helped me lose my weight. There's a couple of exceptions to that, of course, I'll explain in a second, but for the most part, all of these things on here, my 5 core fundamentals, were really the massive component of my permanent weight loss. Okay. So it's a $2,000 value, and I'm only charging $297 for this first group. As you guys know, I always like to reward. I think that's the word. Reward early adopters. And there's another reason. There is a superfoods order that will be added on top of that. And there's options for people if you want to do additional healings with my husband or myself, if you want to do microdosing, because that's one of the elements that's not inside of this automatically. Microdosing helped heal my mind, shift my spirit, and help make my meditation practice so much deeper. If I didn't have that, I might not have had the clearness and awareness and understanding to change my habit around alcohol, to meditate deeper, get into my body. That's one of the biggest reasons most people emotional eat, reach for alcohol. They're trying to numb their body, not just their mind. They don't want to feel what's going on in their body. So they reach for the donut, reach for the alcohol, sleep, all of the things. Okay. So I'll explain the superfoods here in a second. So if you want to add more things on top, that's why I also wanted to make it affordable, because healing is not free. And I will tell you, healing on its own is an investment. And I don't even like to use the word cheap. It's not meant to be cheap. It didn't get here overnight. My journey was 45 years in the making, and I'm still on this path. Space is limited, first come, first serve. Final day I will allow for sign up is the kickoff day. The website is springcleaningcleanse.now.site. I'll drop that in the chat as well. So it's really just all about, is it time to take care of you? Are you sick and tired of all the dieting, all of the abstinence, all of the white knuckling, all of the definition of sanity? Are you tired of having the autopilot mind doing the same thing over and over again, right? And expecting different results? Maybe it's time for something different. Maybe it's time to take care of you for real, because a lot of us, I didn't know how to do that really. And self-care is not selfish. If you want to give light to others and shine your light so bright, which attracts relationships, by the way, this also healed my marriage. I have the best friends ever in my life, the best romantic relationship, the best relationship with my children. I rebuilt my business to be my truth, my light, my passion. I've had people see me and go, Lois, what happened to you? You're so shiny. And I'm not saying that with ego. I'm just saying that because your light is supposed to shine. This is anti-aging right here, what I'm talking about. When you heal your organs, you release the trauma, you metabolize the trauma with love and compassion, your skin will shine. You don't need a bunch of skincare products. I could save you so much money, guys, by being a part of this healing path with me. So if you want to give light to others, you have to glow yourself. So it's my goal to help you glow. I see a question. Can you further explain what happens when we emotionally eat? Is it usually an emotionally charged moment that we go right for the calm? That's a great question. I would say yes and yes. Yes and yes. And I kind of explained this in class the other day. Vanessa, you can have a delayed response. My example would be, I was on the autopilot of people pleasing, and attracting partners that were not in alignment with me, having meetings back to back to back to back, keeping myself busy, trauma response, right? And so by the end of the day, I'd be going, and I would have lots of mini triggers throughout the day. And then around happy hour, wine o'clock, that's when I'd be like, oh, I just need to slow down. I was like on a high, and then I would reach for the food or the drink. So there can absolutely be a delay, because it just depends on what are you doing in your day in order to support yourself. Now I have way more spaciousness because I metabolized a lot of the stuff. Now I do Kundalini yoga and breath work in those little spaces. Like just before here, I meditated. I didn't used to do that. And then I'd be done with this. I'd be triggered by the exhaustion, the not feeling enough. And then I'd go get alcohol. Does that, I always like to tell stories and give examples. Does that help you, Vanessa? Does that make sense? I do want to share with you one last video. I know it's 4:58. Is there any other questions? I did have my friend and mentor, and in this age of Aquarius, in this waking up period, I had a mentor who helped me say, Lois, you got to slow down. You got to stop the madness. You've got to heal. His name is Franco Romero. He's been on my podcast like 4 times. He's written the book, The Closet Spiritualist. And he's also a part of my my cleanse. He's going to be doing a class inside the cleanse. And I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet. I know it's about ascension, and it's about going inward. It's deep, powerful stuff. That's why I know it may not be for you, and that's okay. But for those of you who are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you want true healing and lasting results, then this might be for you. So he did a video where he's talking about how the products, so I'll actually, let me do this. I'll drop the link in the chat for those of you that want to sign up. So remember, prep week is next week. So I'm going to start coaching you right away. So you don't have to wait. I'm going to start coaching you right away. We're also going to have, I didn't have this on the slides. We are going to have a private, probably a private Telegram group, Telegram or WhatsApp. I haven't decided. So you'll get direct access from me. And normally you have to pay like $2,000 to get that for 1 month. So I'm just saying, this is an amazing deal. But you, again, gotta be committed, and gotta be ready to do the work. Cause I know it's a lot. It's a brave and courageous journey. So I'm going to play a little message from Franco. It is 5 minutes. So if you got to run, I apologize. I didn't realize that it would go a little bit over, but here's Franco's message about his superfoods and the minerals and the things that'll help you reduce the cravings naturally. Will supplement the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, the digestion, all of those things that, sorry, I want to make sure the sound is playing. All of those things that Dr. Lauren was talking about, herbs and all of that is what he's providing you. So you can have that as a supplemental tool just for the 4 weeks. And I have a 10% discount for you. So that's in addition to the $297. But again, super affordable. It can replace some of your shopping. So that's the way I always look at it. So here's Franco.
Hey everyone, my name is Franco Romero and I am the co-founder of My Nourish. I just want to first and foremost thank you for letting us be a part of your challenge. being the provider of choice, if you will, for the nutritional needs that you're going to go through. Say you can look up our product essentials in terms of what they do on www.mynourish, that's MYNURISH.com. So I'm not going to fill this video up with too much of what each product does. I just want to really spend this time kind of breaking out how to use them. So you have 37 Superfoods Plus, which is really our true flagship product, even though we could also argue that the Essential Minerals Plus and beta-glucan are as well. But that 37 Superfoods Plus is packed full of phytonutrients that will just do an assortment of things in terms of your quest to cleanse and detox your body. And also provide stability. Now, the phytonutrients is the big key here. There's over 20,000 of these nutrients, and you find them in a diverse group of plants and vegetables and fruits. What you want to do in terms of taking this blend is you want to do it mostly in the morning or afternoon so that you can get the best bang for your buck with it in terms of being able to get all the energy replenishment that you need for it. It's not a bad thing to do it later in the day or even in the evening. It's actually quite good if you're having issues in terms of trying to get to sleep or something. But for, I guess, most of you, it will probably be a morning drink that you can mix with fruits and vegetables that you buy, mostly fruits that you buy, and make it into a nice smoothie drink with some ice, and you're done. Away you go, and you walk out that door with more nutrition, really to be exact, about 30 servings of fruits and vegetables and superfoods. So you'll get more nutrition in that one scoop than most people you'll see all day long combined. Now, in addition to the cleansing and detox and replenishing your body with some great phytonutrient nutrition, you also want to complement that with the essential minerals. And why? Because essential minerals are what they are. They're essential. They're critical. Minerals are the building blocks of life. And we've been kind of told that, oh, you just need 12 to 16 of them and you'll be just fine. But really the reality is that your body needs over 70 of them, but you can't find that anymore on the topsoil of most farms or what have you, where you grow fruits and vegetables. So what you have to do is really dig deep to find them, and that's exactly what we did. So our essential minerals are fossilized because they come way from deep down under the earth, about 100 feet down. And they replenish your body with essential minerals that really give vibrancy, and not just vibrancy, but almost stamina to your cell structure. It's what really gives your cell structure that really added boost. So if you're really trying to get everything you want out of really a harmonious balance, fully optimized energy stream around your body, I would highly encourage you to do both the 37 Superfoods Plus and the Essential Minerals. When you get started, you'll want to do one scoop in the morning of the greens, the 37 Superfoods Plus, do your Essential Minerals, and then in the evening, when you're back from work or what have you, you can do another glass of the superfoods. You could also do just 2 scoops in the morning and be done with it, but for the most part, you'll want to do the Essential Minerals in the morning, and if you're doing beta-glucan as well, you want to do that in the morning. Beta-glucan being really, 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 really good for things like immune system support, metabolism support, and heart health support. Really big on that, and there's been a lot of clinical studies on that. But again, not everybody's going to do that one. If you do, I highly encourage it. But at least the other two, you'll want to probably put that in your dietary plans. As you go into this challenge, you're going to want to wane out of some of your diet. Kind of those things that you don't think are really healthy, a lot of the sugars and whatnot that just you would rather be better off without putting them in your diet, at least for this challenge. And you will increase your scoops on the 37 Superfoods Plus for a week. After that week, you could go back to just what's on the label and just write out the rest of the challenge just the way it's instructed for your nutritional needs. After the challenge is done, I really, really believe that if you stick to this plan, your body is going to have a noticeable difference. You're going to have more mental clarity, spiritual clarity, and you're going to want to keep on with this, because doing this for your body isn't just a 30-day or 40-day or 50-day or 90-day challenge. It's a lifetime challenge. And if you stick with it, you're going to have a much healthier life. in all aspects of your life with this kind of nutrition. So I guess that's about it. I just wanted to pop in and let you kind of know how to use this. It's not rocket science. If you have any questions, feel free to float them through Lois, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the challenge. So take care. Bye-bye.
Right. So I wanted you guys hear straight from the founder, creator, my spiritual mentor, just knowing that these products are really meant to fuel you mentally, physically, and spiritually, I think is a great testimony to the intention. And I use the products as well as part of my journey just in the first year. Just so you know, I stopped using them because that's the idea. Once you metabolize those emotions, once you bless and release the traumas and fully love yourself with grace and compassion and fully heal, you know, Franco said it is a lifetime journey, but I have tools and tricks up my sleeve to help you guys be able to save so much money, big picture. Think of the medical bills due to health challenges. Think of, you know, the obesity crisis we have in our country and how there's so many systems that don't support us in permanent weight loss. This isn't a fad, a quick fix, or a magic pill, that's for darn sure, but this is definitely something that's meant to shift you enough in 4 weeks that you like literally, this is like a fork in the road where you can turn and look back and say, that's where my healing journey began, just like I did 2 years ago. April of 2021 is when I drew the line in the sand. I was tired of being the heaviest weight I'd ever been in my life, even heavier than pregnancy. I was tired of reaching for alcohol, even though I didn't really want to, and I hated myself for it. I was tired of the busyness of life and having a lot of inauthenticity in my life. So if there's no other questions, I want to end this call because I kept you over. I did drop the links in the chat where you can sign up. Yeah. Yep. Food is neutral. The scale is even neutral. The scale doesn't care, right? It's about what's going on inside of you. And this isn't even about ideal weight. This is much, much bigger, much, much deeper, is how are you shining your light and showing up in the world? And are you your highest and best version of yourself? That's really the question that I would like to leave you with is, are you your highest and best version of yourself? If not, why not? And what are you going to do different about it in order to shift internally as within, so without? Once you shift internally, the weight just poof falls off and it doesn't come back. You're so welcome. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you be a part of the challenge, this first offering, and to really, really have yourself ready for summer. Summer's coming up, right? Swimsuit season, depending on where you are in the world, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. So let's begin. New Year's all over again, too. And send you guys so much love. Until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. Bye-bye for now.